Welcome back to another episode of Scryer's Room. I am your host, Famfare.
Okay.
I'm Kevin.
And I'm Mario.
And today we have the Dungeon Master Supreme Brody with us. He's up from Lexington. I shouldn't have said that. I'll bleep it.
No, you're good.
Either way. And,
he lives in Pueblo.
Yeah, Pueblo, Nebraska.
Yeah.
That's a good place. No, but, we're, I guess we're going to get started with some Magic the Gathering. Now, I am a neophyte when it comes to Magic the Gathering. My experience of Magic the Gathering has been, I got into it around middle school. When I was in Boy Scouts, one of the kids there brought us decks when we were playing, and he had like an elf deck. This was when the borders of the cards were still white, and we were pretty enamored by it, and we kind of got into it. And then that I was tertially into it, but I was never really into it, like on a competitive scene. I didn't actually know the stuff.
You certainly weren't, as some of our friends were, willing to, like, burgle for them.
Yeah, I was always casual. I never understood things on a professional level. Like, I didn't go to the events or the tournaments or that stuff. I'd just build a deck and play with my friends that I knew in, like, my neighborhood. And it wasn't until, like, much later that I realized, like, how into it some people were. And, how, like, all these deck builds and, like the way people treat it. I used to have this joke about, like, one of the best heists known to man is just to rob a Magic the Gathering tournament because those decks are worth so much money. And that joke is so accurate that people get mad when I say that.
That joke's so accurate, it's happened a lot.
Yeah. People get actually upset. They're like, Tony, I don't even wish that on people. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And I'm like, Jesus Christ.
It'd be harder than you think. They keep pretty good, like, they don't just leave their stuff. It's in front of them all the time.
Yeah, it would have to be.
You would have to fight them, and once
that's probably
once you,
not.
like, hit one of the bees and take their honey,
the
rest are going to see you.
They're going to swarm you.
While individually the kinds of people who play Magic the Gathering are almost certainly quite simple to defeat in combat. Yeah. Defeating an entire, like, pavilion of them.
Yeah, they will go after you.
The swarm of ass cracks.
They won't find you.
They'll pile on you
You'll
like
be gone.
those honeybees that kill a hornet. They just pile on you.
Yeah, you just vibrate.
This will be made into more Magic cards.
Yep.
Yeah, good. Make them out of parchment instead of paper. Human skin.
Just flatten them out.
God bless.
I just found out relatively recently, I'm sure for everybody else's opinion, that Magic the Gathering conceptually even has a storyline in it. I thought it was like Mortal Kombat where it's all vibes.
I knew.
And by the way, Mortal Kombat also has a storyline that I just don't respect.
Fair enough.
I don't think Magic the Gathering deserves a ton of respect. However, no, I guess I think it does. Now it doesn't. But what they were doing was cool. It is this... And I guess it took several editions for them to actually start making a story with, like, the whole Urza Saga stuff and Dominaria going on.
Sure.
It was cool. It's basically an impossible feat that they showed isn't really possible. But they tried. They tried their hardest. Here is a story going on. We're going to tell it to you through randomized pieces of cardboard that you put together into 60-card clumps and play a game with it. The story won't make sense, but there's little flavor text at the bottom that might describe the scene going on. Like there's some really cool scenes, like during the Weatherlight saga when Gerard, is it Gerard? I think it's Gerard, who, by the way, is like a bioengineered eugenic experiment by Urza to create a fantasy hero who can defeat the great evil Yawgmoth.
I use that plot in one of my stories.
Yeah, it's and he has like a whole
a fun one.
motley
Artificial
crew,
hero.
like a goblin, a female, everything you'd see in fantasy.
Yeah, they got a smart guy, one of them lady types.
Yeah,
a gremlin, a mascot.
And Squeeze like immortal. It's neat.
Yeah.
But Gerard, like a cool scene is the original depiction of Phyrexian Arena. Phyrexia is the big bad guys that Yogg on like a different planet, parallel to Dominaria, or like a different plane, but it's like plane of evil where Yawgmoth
is that
one of the ancient evils.
The group of people that look like the aliens from Pitch Black.
Yeah. The Phyrexians are like...
Yeah.
Because Yawgmoth is from an even ancienter time than Urza. He's already pretty ancient because he's a planeswalker in that setting is essentially a god, like
Right.
lowercase, and you as the player are gods, planeswalkers battling by throwing crazy spells at each other. That's like the little game narrative. The cool art for Phyrexian Arena is like the moment Gerard kills Urza because he's overtaken by the glory of Yawgmoth, like tempting him and like wanting to be powerful. And while I read that stuff, I kind of don't remember a whole lot. It's just I own that art of Phyrexian Arena, so I see that, remember that, and forget all the other story because it's not very well written. Like,
I remember
even the fiction outside of the cards just isn't that. It's when you look back at it, oh, it's so cool. The closer you get, like, it gets
Right.
not great.
You have to be step back and be like, oh, there's this whole war going on. But if you look too close, and it's like, and part of that war is this guy doing a thing that really doesn't make any sense for somebody to do.
Or like the perspective will keep changing, and that
man.
bugs me a ton. Like I think it was the, I don't remember if it was called Brothers War, but it was essentially that plot line that they later made into a Magic set, in newer times. Where it's Urza and Mishra, the original like brothers, and they're growing up by some archaeologists, and they're finding the Meekstone and it's not Meekstone, it's something, or they find the two rocks of the Power Stone, and like have a war because they basically figure out magic and how to make constructs, and becomes fantasy robot wars.
Sick.
Hell yeah.
And this is like the path.
That sounds really cool, and I'm
Yeah,
sure
sick nasty.
looking closer at it, it's much less cool.
Yeah, it's still a cool concept. It's just like
Yeah.
reading it is difficult because perspectives change. It will be matter of fact and try to be metaphor. It's hard to read. I recommend definitely reading wiki pages about it. That's where you'll probably get as much entertainment as reading it.
I remember when I was getting into it when I was still in middle school, I think they were still called Fat Packs. This might have been a different kind of set.
Yeah.
They came with books?
They used to come with little pamphlets back when because they used to have.
Well, I'm talking about an actual novel. Like whatever I bought came with an actual novel.
like
an actual
not
book.
just
like an actual book. Like the thing, I remember buying one
What
for
year
Fifth
was
Dawn. I was for Fifth
okay.
Dawn. It was like way like I was in middle school. I was a little baby boy.
Mirrodin.
Yeah, I remember it was like either Fifth Dawn, and I remember getting an actual fucking novel with it. I never actually read it because I was like I didn't want to get started with all that. But
Right.
I think I still have it somewhere. But I was also kind of like, it tickled me that they would even have this. You know,
It's even it being hard to read, you can just appreciate it. Like they're trying something nobody else is doing.
yeah.
Right.
And nobody else would really try, even if it's not a great idea, even if it struggles. It deserves all the credit in the world for the attempt.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
that's where once you start, I guess it would be Lorwyn where it goes bad and they start the whole Planeswalkers as cards. If you want to get real grognard, complaining about it.
I feel
do,
like
always.
I feel like that decision is the equivalent of World of Warcraft deciding that there are main characters. Because up until Wrath of the Lich King, the whole point was that you didn't really follow the named characters of Warcraft setting because you are the new named characters.
Yeah.
That was part of the appeal. You're just the guy, but you're building your new legacy. You are now the guy, level 60/level 70. But then when they introduced Wrath of the Lich King, they brought Varian back, and then it started being keeping up with these guys. What are they doing? And then you're doing things around them instead of being the change.
I feel like they went ahead with that because of the success of the Black Citadel. Because that also kind of started you're doing stuff with these big named characters.
True. I think you're right.
And that was kind of the first one where you're not just fighting. The
It's
main
Illidan.
characters,
He's
you're with
back. You're
Here's
hanging out with
here's the
Maev.
Draenei guy.
Yeah.
And
Here's a Kama. We're hanging out with a Kama. Oh look, Maev came to kill you.
Black
Spoilers.
Temple is pretty sick.
Black Temple is very sick.
but
Because I was fully on board, fucking morons to make this change, and then I'm like, but experiencing that change it was fun. I played that game until very recently,
Yeah.
and Mario's over here.
I'm excited for Anniversary Burning Crusade. I will probably be playing that. I'm done with Classic, but when they get to the Burning Crusade, I will be making my Space Goat. and I will be spamming heroism.
Yeah, I'm finally also like off the needle entirely.
Yeah, that's
like,
good. I'm glad.
I'm glad new heroin is about to drop. Yeah. That's great. That's fantastic.
It's like hearing your friend say,
It's not
I'm
even
getting
new
back
heroin.
on the fucking... Yeah.
It's old, stale heroin they left out, and they just
Still heroin.
painted it green and gold to
They added
say it's
green.
new.
They added aqua colored food coloring to the
mean,
heroin to make
They
it more
injected
appealing
it
to me.
with glitter.
They injected it with glitter, I think is more accurate, because what they didn't think oh, we should make something like that again. They literally looked at an old batch and they were like, let's just tell them how old it is, and they'll be like, 20 years? Put it in me.
It's like fine wine.
Yeah.
This is as dumb as like clear Pepsi.
This is from the same batch that I used to use in middle school. This is crazy.
Oh man. No, yeah.
The drug metaphor might have gone too far there, but
It's fucking accurate. The fact that you said glitter is also perfect because I'm like, ooh, shiny, and then I look at it and then I remember there's heroin.
Yeah,
and then I do the heroin.
You're injecting it into you, not just getting heroin.
Well, like that's the price you gotta pay.
Complaining
people.
about Planeswalkers.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that was the first big complaint, because it used to be you, the player, are a planeswalker. You cast spells, summon creatures from all across the multiverse to throw at your opponent and kill them in godlike battles. Then they made Planeswalkers card, which in their defense, they gave a narrative reason. They actually set that up with the time spiral block, where it turns out doing what you're doing, summoning creatures from across the multiverse, is destroying the multiverse.
Oh,
so
no.
time spiral was like past is colliding with the future, and then you get planar chaos, where they had like a bunch of color shifted stuff that was neat. Then they finally did Future Sight, which was like, these are cards from the future, and they just put in a bunch of stuff that like said like, yeah, we'll do this again someday.
I remember there's like a
it's a pretty good
goblin
promise.
card or something.
Yeah, that eventually, I feel like they copped out with that one.
Contraptions was it or something?
Yeah. It was like just nonsense. They had no idea what they were going to do with it. It was just like,
right.
When this goblin enters, I can't remember that. I have like 4 copies of it for my key.
But it makes it a contraption or something.
Yeah, whenever you assemble a contraption,
That's
you
what it
assemble
was.
an additional contraption.
Whenever you
means
assemble
nothing.
a contraption,
that
I
didn't
love
mean
that.
anything.
Because it means literally nothing. That's why I love it. It's like
And riggers you control get +1/+0.
yeah.
Like, what? That's not a
That's
card
literally
type.
nothing.
That is so. There's a writing
awesome.
technique. It comes up a lot in D&D, but like it's also just like a fun way to write a story. I call it chumming the waters, which is in the early parts of the story. That's when I want all of my bullshit to happen, where it feels like something happens or exists essentially for no reason. And that's so that later when I want to use something, I can look back at my bullshit that I already set up, and now it counts as setup rather than like, and then that happened.
Yeah, it's basically the D&D campaign.
Yeah, that's how like it's a really simple way of like writing and self-justifying, and that is just what they did. Like, let's just run a whole section of our cards like that.
Well, it was stuff I think other than that one, a lot of it was stuff they were planning on doing, and eventually, after playtesting it a bit through Future Sight and getting feedback, they did implement those. Like, these were actual, a lot of them were actual like things they were testing to play and wanted to make future sets. That's where you got like Toxic, Narcomoeba, like, as Bridge from Below technically never actually got from a set, but it shouldn't have been. That card was not a good idea, which is, it's an enchantment you don't have to cast, but if it's in your graveyard and a creature you control dies, you get a zombie. So you just mill it into your graveyard,
Yeah.
and then kill your stuff, and now you have free creatures, and it's the basis of my Legacy deck that you don't run any lands or mana whatsoever.
You don't need
just mill yourself until you win.
Yeah.
Through the mechanic dredge.
That is.
But anyways,
that's pretty cool. Actually,
this was set up with the whole story set up with Time Spiral and Time Spiral, Planar Chaos, Future Sight, and then I believe it was Teferi who did the mending of Dominaria, because Dominaria is like the main plane where all the story was going on.
Is that where Urza's from?
Yeah.
Yeah, that adds up.
Yeah, so Urza, Mishra, Even Yawgmoth back in the Thran times is from there. But
This
that's
is
like
the base reality.
even extra ancient. It's just all layers of ancient. Sorry.
Well
So-
said.
so-
The
Dominaria is
Mending of
the-
Dominaria, and it like story-wise, it reaped. That's when they started really doing like all of these little extra. They create new sets based on a new universe. Like they make a new, made like I guess Ravnica was before Time Spiral. I think.
Yes, I think it was right before.
Yeah.
Because that's when I first started getting in. I got in
Yeah.
during Mirrodin, and then almost immediately after was Kamigawa
Yeah.
and Ravnica.
But then it really set the precedent of everything being like a new world that they world build basically from scratch, and that was like such an admirable thing.
It was. People still love Ravnica.
And then after Mending, you get, I forget if Lorwyn was right after. I think
I
it was,
wanna
and that's
say.
when they introduced the Planeswalkers. That's kind of like a, hey, look at this, because Planeswalkers after the Mending, it healed the universe and made Sparks, which makes you a Planeswalker much weaker. So now they're just cards, and you as the player, I guess, are just a extra god or something. Yeah, the whole Ludo narrative thing of it broke down after that point, but nobody cared. It was already established game.
Yeah.
Then they made Planeswalkers weak, and it just kind of became following the Planeswalkers as your introduction to these worlds, which I can see is like fine if those characters were at all good. And
Okay, not to interrupt.
yeah.
How many Chandras are actually good? Because I keep hearing that that's like the one they never get right. Is that
there's
correct?
so many they never get right.
Yeah, like I hear Chandra is like almost never a good card.
No, in standard right now, there's a 6-mana Chandra that's okay,
Okay.
and she's in more recent times they've made good Chandras, and even back in Kaladesh, the 4-mana Chandra still saw play in mono red. So they've been getting her right more often than not, I think, lately. If you
Okay.
disclude when they're doing the Planeswalkers decks, because those weren't actually Magic cards. Those were scams to make people think this is where you start, but it's not. Those decks were terrible, and you would just. I mean, Magic inherently is wasting money, but that one especially because you can't use those cards anywhere. Not because they're not legal; they're just bad, and they're purposefully bad.
They have like a tutorial set you can buy? Like, is that what it is?
Oh, they would always do that. They would make starter decks.
No, is that what like this is where it's like supposed to be that, but
that's
it's so
what like overtook the starter decks they used to do. They
Yeah.
made them Planeswalkers decks, so it looked like you're buying a superhero thing.
right.
And they never made a good one. They were all terrible.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Finding like, man, I wonder, if somehow my Planeswalker myself was to have a Planeswalker duel with this character, I wonder how their deck would exist. You just look at them like, oh, I would destroy them. How is this a war?
Yeah, they're so bad. But yeah, that's kind of like the
If the
beginning. Grognard dislike for the story can start, and even the game where Planeswalkers felt like the overreach, and the addition of mythic rare cards in like I think it was Zendikar.
Mythic Rare, I definitely
Like, was
agree. That's kind of where I tapped out of Zendikar. I didn't get
Yeah.
anything in Zendikar. The what do they call the Eldrazi?
Yeah,
The Eldrazi
Eldrazi
always kind of
Titans.
miffed me because it added another like I don't know like I can't fully explain to you why it bothered me that they added another rarity, but I felt like it was a problem for the game, and I've heard a lot of arguments saying that it was.
Yeah, it still is. There's a lot of things like that. And what you do when you like to play Magic is you say you're upset, forget you said that, and pretend, and just close your eyes to it.
Yeah.
So that you can go and just hang out with your friends and play Magic on Fridays. And
Right, because it's not really about like whether or not the game's good. It's having fun with your friends and
yeah,
having a social like activity that you can participate
Yeah,
in, which you're not going to give up because like
Yeah.
the company made a decision you don't particularly agree with, or like there's new rules dropping which really only affects people who are like serious business boys only.
I mean, the semi-competitive trying to really win F&M Friday Night Magic is very fun. To pretend like you care
Right.
every Friday and really spend hours deck building for your deck to do bad and then hate yourself, but still want to keep doing it
Yeah.
because
Right.
you want to show off to your friends.
Fun.
Yeah.
That's fun. And I've even done some like tournaments that I've lost horribly in. I top 8'd one thing, but never like got first for qualifiers with like various control decks. But complaining about Magic Story, yeah. So they're doing the original Grognard part. They're now jumping plane to plane, doing these cool story. They called them block sets. So you have one block like at the end of the year, another one. No, you would have the block start towards the end of the year. It would finish by about end of winter, spring, and you have about 3 sets in there. And then it follows like a story in there that was normally bad and not great.
Right.
But they're trying still. They're doing something
Right.
unique.
This is a very unique medium for them to be working.
Now it's become after they did a culmination of this whole story with Nicol Bolas. If you know Magic, you know the whole War of the Spark, and you are equally disappointed, especially with the novelization that was.
I was going to ask about him because that's the single character I know about in Magic.
That's the cool ass dragon guy.
Yeah,
right?
he's conceptually the coolest character. in my
Yeah,
opinion.
where he like laid plans, but also the plans didn't quite make sense because there was like a time thing with Tarkir, but that it kind of made sense, I guess. Because he like died. No, he only got wounded in that timeline. Never mind. So yeah, it still worked out. Yeah, and they had this culminating background story of Nicol Bolas going through all these other planes, in addition to like the planes, culminated in the War of the Spark, and that was like the last three set block they did, and that was supposed to be the grand thing. And like one Planeswalkers died, because his plan was lure all the Planeswalkers to Ravnica. I'm going to eat all their sparks and gain the old Planeswalker powers and become a god again. Because he was an old walker, and the Mending of Dominaria took most of his power.
Right.
He wanted to be a
And it was
god.
just some schlump alien warlord rather than an unstoppable god.
He
of
only
time and
controls
space.
a few planes, not all of them.
Yeah.
And War of the Spark was just kind of a wet fart for story. And it was just bad, and then it went from there. And ever since, it's basically just been one set for a universe, and just going... That's also when things started going rapid fire. They kicked up printing, they reduced playtesting, and the product and gameplay has just really gotten bad. That's going to be controversial, as the people who are still playing since then are still in because they think it's good, and everyone who didn't has kind of quit. But I play the game so I can complain about it.
It
So
sounds like
I've
an
stayed
insane
with.
combination, though, to anyone. Like, production is ramped up, playtesting, slash it.
Yeah,
Like,
basically gone.
What do you mean?
Yeah.
God bless.
And
man.
cutting budgets, cutting staff, and they got the whole COVID thing, so they make hand over fist like every other entertainment industry, because everyone was. It was just everyone was making a ton of money there.
Yeah. Everyone was trapped in their homes, and that was
and
just
so
gravy
this,
time for them.
Making these 3-part story sets stopped. They were all just one story in one set. So normally, Rise of the Eldrazi is like the perfect setup. The first Zendikar where you get, here's a D&D inspired plane. Here's some ominous statues. And like the end of it is the Rise of the Eldrazi. Oh, these statues were depicting ancient eldritch gods. Oops, Sarkhan, or it was Nissa, accidentally awakened them. Now Eldrazi Cthulhu monsters are destroying the planes, and you lose. Zendikar, narratively, was still fighting them, and basically the Planeswalkers were like, we can't beat this, let's leave, and figure something out.
My favorite sets, like, that I have a personal stake in, because I came in during Mirrodin, and I still remember I was playing a modular deck, and modular was banned in most formats because it's kind of horseshit.
It's banned in its standard time.
Okay.
It got the artifact lands banned.
Yeah, the affinity stuff. Affinity for artifacts. My deck has affinity for artifacts. All the decks for artifact lands against it. I'm very casual, but I knew the deck I had some cheese to it because people were always commenting on it. They're like, "What the fuck is this?" But
2/2 win is 2.
I really enjoyed the Mirrodin block. I like all the artifact creatures. I like the kind of like almost like cyberpunk, but like magic, fantasy cyberpunk shit going on.
Yeah, it's a cool because it was Urza died. His spark went to Karn, who was a sentient golem he created, and Karn became a planeswalker who decided, I don't like these flashbacks, because he's been forced to fight numerous mega robot wars for Urza. He's like, I'm leaving, and creates his own plane, which is Mirrodin.
I didn't even know that. That's the story. This
is
awesome.
Robot World.
Yeah, it's Robot World, and it's sick.
I tire of the Gundam fight. I will retire to Cybertron.
Yeah, well, he became Cybertron, essentially. I mean, he was like in the core of the world or whatever. And then Memnarch, who became like, was supposed to be like the brain ruler, went mad and started kidnapping different races from different planes and forcing them to live on Metal World. So elves had to eat metal or whatever, and live in copper forests, and it's neat.
Sucks. It's cold out here.
I had that card, Midnock.
Yeah. He's
like
just chewing
cards, right?
like a shiny metal leaf
into an artifact and gain control
made out of like
artifact,
aluminum foil.
and that's like what he did through like various worlds. To just take people and put them on his world because he wants them there. He wants a planet. He wants to have Lord of the Rings on his world.
Cool.
But so you just pulled it real quick. I have no mouth and I must scream.
Yeah, basically. But just
I only just found out what that book's about thanks to Mario over here.
Yeah.
But yeah, Mirrodin,
I know a lot of stuff. Didn't know that one.
Mirrodin, very cool. And then I also liked. Well, I actually didn't like because I was a sad boy about the ending. New Phyrexia.
Yeah.
So they go back to Mirrodin. That's actually when I got back into the game. Was when Scars of Mirrodin came up, and I was like, oh, sick. My boys.
And they start with the ominous threat. Oh, what's this weird black oil?
Yeah, the Fifth Dawn. What happened?
Which you would already know is like glistening oil from previous Phyrexian things.
And then the black oil wins, and I was like, oh no, my boys, they've been
the robots know.
The robots are now evil robots.
Robots beat the
and Elesh Norn is like Elesh Norn makes you feel things. Like, let's just say that. Anyway.
Yeah, I'm more a Shieldred guy.
I don't know what Shieldred is. Is that the spider?
Yeah, it's a spider.
Hell yeah, it's some big wolf energy.
Yeah, Dark Souls ruined it for me.
Oh man, I've heard about this.
I only know about Nicol Bolas. I don't know any of these other people's names.
Yeah, we're just name dropping like left and right. Oh man.
Yeah, the story became one-off sets that never got time to breathe, and they just kept rapid firing, and eventually they started introducing the Phyrexian Praetors again. Shieldred. I guess Shieldred, was dead allegedly until they went back to Dominarians. Oh no, she's back and grafted to a Phyrexian Dreadnought.
Sick.
Cool,
Sounds
except she doesn't do any
cool.
Phyrexian Dreadnought things.
That's
it's just
lame.
an obnoxious card that drains you for life every time you draw a card.
Lame.
Yeah, it's not like she's a 12/12 that kills you.
Yeah, that's what I thought you said basically.
Yeah,
she's not a juggernaut. What do you
just
mean?
Like, lore-wise, her severed body was grafted.
She's like a Drider type person, I presume.
She was. Now she's like a Drider.
But the bottom half is a transformer.
Giant centipede.
Oh.
Robot centipede.
See, that's exactly. I was just thinking in my head like she was that. You're describing a spider lady, probably like a Drider type body build, but then like it gets replaced by something called a Juggernaut. I'm like, I don't know, like Optimus Prime, like.
I am half man, half Optimus Prime.
Pretty good move.
Yeah. I mean, a truck is no laughing matter.
Yeah,
Yeah, things becoming one-off sets. Story just doesn't get room to breathe.
They
They start a new Phyrexia thing. All will be one. They're gonna have all the Phyrexians invade every plane. It just happens so fast. Only highlight of it is Jin-Gitaxias was awesome, and he stole his waifu and turned her into a robo slave. So he won, and then he comically slips on oil and falls into a vat of piranhas. Not joking. That's literally how he dies.
That's hilarious. I love it.
he slips on a vat of piranhas.
He slips into a vat of piranhas.
He
Apparently,
slips on oil into a vat of piranhas. Like,
whoa!
Phyrexian robot piranhas.
Fucking Looney Tunes day.
Yeah.
He goes to like the Japanese plane, and everybody. There's so many good like memes about it.
Oh man.
Because he goes there and he's like wearing like the bottom half of a kimono, because Jin-Gitaxias is the only one that wears pants, so they had him wearing like bottom half of a kimono.
Right.
That's awesome.
When Samurai Jack has to get a little serious and he pops off the top of his.
Yeah, it was adorable. Jin-Gitaxias was awesome.
And then he slips and falls into piranhas.
Yeah, because they just have to kill all the Praetors because
That's
The good guys have to win here, and it just happened. So they speed ran. War of the Spark was like a decade culmination of story writing. All Will Be One was like they speed ran that, and it to make sure it was just as bad. Story like conclusion wise.
Imagine if in one of the Avengers movies there's like like 5 villains that they need to take out, and like you get to see like a couple of scenes of everybody like taking out each villain. And you're like, okay, maybe this isn't the most satisfying thing, but there's one guy left who's like maybe the fan favorite, and the heroes don't even talk about him. It's just like, and then it just shows him, and he's like, oh, and then he falls.
I think it was during like the fight, like Elspeth cuts.
And then like we cut back to the fight scene, and they're like, but what do we do about him? And then like everyone just turns at the same time, and the camera turns to the vat of piranhas with do not run, slippery floor near it, and just a hand bobbing up and down, slowly getting eaten. They're like, oh, good. Thank God.
Got his ass.
Yeah, and then after that, the story kept going. Because they turned, because Phyrexia's part of Phyrexia's invasion was to take a tree from the Viking land, which again was a one-off set with 10 different demi-planes within this plane, all of various Viking themes. Gets explained almost not at all.
Right, like the different planes.
But they get the world tree from there because it's the Viking plane or a seed of it, and make a robot world tree that then the tree planeswalker attaches herself to take control of it from the Phyrexians, and that's kind of how they win. And then they bring in the Wakanda warriors from Teferi's homeland. That one is like a pre-set up thing, so it's fine. But it is just like African people riding on rhinos into combat. Like, it looks exactly like it. I would say cool if it didn't feel like they were just ripping off Black Panther.
Yeah, I get that.
I feel like they wouldn't have done that if it wasn't for Black. If they
right.
didn't
This made money. We'll make money too. Yeah.
Yes.
I get that. Yeah. The timing on it. Just like Kung Fu Panda comes out and Blizzard's like, Mr. Pandera? Mr.
Yeah,
Pandera?
because Teferi's homeland was already set up, so it could have been cooler. Maybe they could have just made the visuals less looking like Black Panther. Maybe that would just be impossible, because it's, people from Washington making these depictions. They
right. They don't actually. They've certainly never been to like an African like cultural center where they're talking about their fantasy and history and stuff.
Yeah.
They know about Rikki Tikki Tavi and like a couple other things, and they're like fucking.
Rikki Tikki Tavi was by a British man.
Was it?
Yeah. Rudyard Kipling.
Hilarious.
Yeah, I think he just lived in India.
So they don't know shit about like that entire half of the planet, just like me. So I can't imagine that they could be more respectful than like, let's do the Black Panther.
Yeah, I mean it's again fine scene. It's just like so
That's
many
hilarious.
things crammed into there, and I feel like that should have been, I don't know, a bit more setup would have been good. Not just and suddenly, people riding rhinos. And Extreme Warrior.
Yeah, suddenly.
Set it up
I mean, when we're talking about wizards and robots and things, frankly, if people rode in with rhinos, I'd think, these guys are scrubs.
Yeah.
That's just an animal.
I mean, they're also
not even a
supposed to
magic
be, like,
one.
One of the more powerful, like, also, like, wizard and warrior cities that... It's the fairy's homeland, and he put them into a time bubble to save them from the planar chaos. So, like, there was stuff they're bringing from before, it just... I wish there was more than just, like, basically 3 cards to this genuinely major event into Fairy's entire plot. Because that was, like, his whole thing, is he's trying to rescue his people from their time dimension that he can't get them out of.
Right.
Because he misses them.
That would have been a great box set.
There was, like, a short story for it, and 3 cards... represented in the whole game.
So speaking of short stories, I heard the Brando Sando has made fiction for MTG.
I can get into that in a second.
Okay.
Almost done. After they did this whole Omen Path thing, after the World Tree, it started opening up random Omen Paths that I guess have also always been there. It's unclear. And now it's... And a lot of the Planeswalkers no longer have sparks and are just creatures. And now it's like Jace trying to steal the Looney Tunes mascot who has the map of all the Omen Paths to reset the world or something. it's
Jack
it's very-
Sparrow, you have to steal the Declaration of
Yeah.
Independence before Thanos gets the Infinity Stones.
Basically, yeah. All I'm saying is nonsense, and the story's nonsense, and it's not written well. Latest set was racing for some reason, which
Oh man.
a Planeswalker sparks and a thing, and everyone's trying to chase it to whoever wins the race.
It's wacky races.
Gets
So-
it,
No,
but
they've
like,
hit Yu-Gi-Oh! X, or what is it? What is the
Zexal? No, not Zexal.
Which one? Because
The
there's
The
motorcycle
racing
one.
one.
the rotors. Yeah, I think that's. I actually don't know what that one is off the top of my
Yeah,
head.
yeah. Let's get a
it,
Google.
it gets a lot of crap. I think the idea is neat, and I would have liked that in a fantasy setting. I would have liked it to be done better because I love any kind of wacky races.
Yeah, wacky races is one of my favorite genres.
They just didn't
Yeah.
do it well enough. The premise was dumb, and it's like
5Ds.
I can't, and I
You get
apologize
5Ds.
to people who would get offended when I say. I know that's like they changed the plane's name now because that one turns out to be like offensive, but I can't for the life of me remember what they changed it to.
Right.
I'll say I really don't know.
Why is that offensive?
It means
I
it's
really
like
want
kind of
you
a
to just-
derogatory term in Hindi, I believe.
Tony, I really want you
And
to
it is an
bleep out.
Indian-based set, so
that's
there's
just
Oh,
complete-
okay.
Yeah, that's
Alright.
just-
yeah. So
Didn't do
sorry
the
about
research,
that.
yeah.
I want you to bleep out both what the set name is and what else he's calling it.
That's a good bit.
So they like have this spark or this artifact spark, which is a planeswalker equipment artifact, which is neat conceptually. I like it when they just mash card types together. The race, you win the race, you get that. But for some reason, they just let straight up villains who are working for the Haunted Mansion Mega Devil or Mega Demon who wants to, like, you know, rule the multiverse. They just let him in the race, despite him. He's like a ghost man made of flames who's overtly stating he's evil. He's like, yeah, you know, welcome in the race. Yeah, we're all equal here. It's like, maybe you shouldn't give him the god. It looks like a.
Maybe this guy's exactly who you shouldn't give it
It
to.
looks like a Nintendo Switch. Like, don't give him the multiverse traveling Nintendo Switch. He's like maybe, and then, yeah. That's there's stuff that happens. I think it's Magic Arcanums has a YouTube channel that he explains the stories. If you want to know the more recent Magic story, he goes into it. He gives good summaries, and it'll just break your brain trying to read it because it's very wildly. Because a lot of times Magic they do now. They stopped, or they started, then stopped, and started. They off again, on again, writing short stories to accompany the sets. They're now doing it again, and the quality is like, it's all over the place. Generally bad. And short stories in general for Magic and fiction in general are bad, except for the one written by Brandon Sanderson that he did pro bono because he just likes Magic, called Children of the Nameless.
Such a nerd. I love him.
Yeah.
And there,
God bless you, Brandon Sanderson.
Yeah.
Godspeed.
It's genuinely really good. Like the premise is his, his self-insert planeswalker,
Right.
Davriel.
That's how I would
who
go about it.
decided he really likes the idea of like the demon contracts. So Magic, demons and devils are like role reversed.
Uh-huh.
So I know Mario might care because devils are chaos aligned, demons do contracts.
But only in Magic the Gathering.
Yeah.
In Dungeons and Dragons, it's literally the opposite.
No,
Yeah.
wait, repeat that?
Demons do contracts typically and represent, because their archetype is typically you pay life to draw
Yeah.
cards. Devils are normally like red cards
And they're like
that
aggressive,
just like
crazy.
do a bunch of damage
Yeah,
to
that
you
is funny.
and
It's
your
literally the
opponent.
opposite
Yeah.
in D&D.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally the
So
opposite.
demons are like mono black.
But that fits the Magic theme because red is supposed to be aggro, aggression, crazy.
Yeah, and black is like
yeah, the
paying
opposite
your
of white,
life
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
to do other things. So the whole thing of Davriel was just he goes to Innistrad, which is a fan favorite plane, makes a bunch of contracts with the demons there because he understands the wording of it that normal mortal men would just fall to it. Like he gets a bodyguard that's when I die, you have to protect me, and when I die, you get my soul. I'm just like, yeah, sure, I'll do that because demon is immortal. You're gonna die eventually. Basically, you're giving it to me.
Yeah.
But now, He has a immortal demon bodyguard. He gets a succubus to do his paperwork, where it's, if I ever fall for you, or if you steal my heart, my soul is yours. And he's just like not interested at all because he has Planeswalker stuff in his brain to deal with it, and is a supremely powerful wizard. So now he gets a demon succubus who happens to be really good at paperwork because that's demon's whole thing, and he has her be his secretary.
Pretty based.
That's
and,
pretty
and
cool.
several other demons, and he makes little contracts that just kind of like basically out-demon the demons.
Yeah.
Because the demons are used to dealing with mortals who are just like, absolute short-sighted fools compared to interdimensional gods.
And this guy, like, he knows these only last here. They don't know he's a planeswalker. He can just leave.
Right. He
If
can
this
bail
doesn't
at
work,
any time.
He's can planeswalk away as an action.
Right. They can't, like, follow him after that. You can't use Chuck E. Cheese bucks in the Dave & Buster's.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get out of here.
Yeah, that's kind of... And then Magic, what I'm calling the last set, Dragonstorm, Dragonstorm and Tarkir. They've been hinting at this with some of the Omen Paths too, with like random dragons appearing, so they can put a cool mythic rare in every set. And now Tarkir is overrun by Dragonstorms, and they're like fighting for it back or whatever, and bringing back the tricolor things. It's cool. Tarkir is an awesome set, really cool world building, if not a tad on the nose about the various Asian cultures they're ripping from, but neat world building. You have limited time. And Dragonstorm, I just see that's the last one. I know there's story after. I know they're trying to do other big stories going on. I'm going to pretend they're not, and Dragonstorm is when they end it, because after this, they go back on their word about secret lairs, which was the original thing I wanted to complain about like an hour ago or whatever.
40 minutes, we're on a roll.
Yeah, Universes Beyond. This because after Dragonstorm's of Tarkir is Final Fantasy, which they're putting into
like the Square Enix Final Fantasy.
Final Fantasy.
Man.
Oh.
And not like one
man.
specific, just kind of all of it.
That's, I mean...
They
bold
pulled a Kingdom
move.
Hearts.
Yeah.
Oh, will they do Kingdom Hearts?
No,
oh,
it's
man.
just Final
They
Fantasy.
pulled a Kingdom Hearts.
I mean, basically.
They may
did.
one
yeah,
day.
They did. They
Here's
did.
Titus, here's Cloud, just all of them. Who cares?
In this one, materia is really important.
Whichever
In this one, doesn't. It's basically
Which is interesting
dirt.
because Final Fantasy has its own card game. Like,
It does?
yeah, it does. Like, I guess
Yeah.
there are people who play it locally, so...
Is it also all of Final Fantasy?
I'm not going to claim that I know what it's about.
Because in like Final Fantasy like 1 or 2, like Summoner is like, it's not a job.
Yeah, it's not a job until I want to say 5 over there, and I don't know the order about the American releases. I know R3 is Final Fantasy 6, which to me is the best one.
Yeah.
So the Americanized Final Fantasy 3 of the SNES, if you are listening, that is to me the best Final Fantasy game. But I haven't played all of them, so I can no longer say that from experience. I'm just a boomer at this point. But yeah, Final Fantasy 6, the original, like the Japanese version, top tier.
I can say with full confidence that Final Fantasy 1 is the best one because it gave us God's most perfect angel, the Red Mage.
Red Mage goated, man.
I say with confidence, I don't really like any of them because I never played them.
Me neither.
So I'm going to say I don't like them.
Yeah, fair enough. I do
And
enjoy
I
Red
don't
Mage.
like that it's in Magic now. And because the beginning, it's called Universes Beyond, where they pull external intellectual properties or IPs and make Magic cards about them. And the way they started it off, they kicked off the whole thing, was every Magic nerd's favorite show / I think graphic novels, The Walking Dead, and Rick
Jeez.
from The Walking Dead.
Yeah, Mario's
Rick.
face.
What?
Mario's
That is
baffled.
a weird move.
I presume he's a 1/1 because like we're talking like what the fuck do you mean? He's a guy.
He's just a guy.
He's not even a whole guy. He's down a hand.
He's got a gun.
You
Yeah,
know?
he's like a 4-mana 4/4 or something.
That's too far.
He's larger than a grizzly bear in Magic narrative.
Good.
Because that's a grizzly bear is normally a 2/2 because
Yeah, I
it's
know,
based off
that's
the card
fucking
grizzly
crazy.
bear.
Ridiculous.
Based.
Absolutely not the Walking
That's how they
Dead
started it off.
Magic
And
the
their
Gathering.
original pitch was, okay guys, we know you're not going to like this, But
Bro, that's so base.
But if you grit your teeth and take it,
We really wanted to piss you off.
yeah,
But
we're
listen,
going to do this. It's going to be only in secret layers, and we'll promise to make in-universe card versions of these cards. And I don't know if they have or not, because there's so many secondary products with stuff and extra commander cards. And they may as well have, and nobody would know. Like, outside of standard, cards are impossible to keep track of unless you are really honed in on it.
so let me tell you, I assumed a little bit about like what they could possibly be doing with these crossover characters and stuff. I sort of assumed that they would just be like, okay, well, you're used to like use it. I'll make something up. Phyraxian Devilman is like this creature. Well, we want to make like a Final Fantasy version of it, so that's going to be like a Sephiroth card. It's just a reskin essentially. That's what I assumed.
No, it's so much worse. It's the thing that literally everybody said, yeah, just don't do it this way and we can live with
There's
it.
only one way to do it
So
wrong.
I guess they really started it off with Ikoria and like giant monsters, and they decided, okay, some of these will have an alternate art and name where we'll say Godzilla, but we'll put the name of the actual card just below it so you guys can know. And then they decided, instead of that, we're just going to make Rick from The Walking Dead as a card.
He's a 4/4.
And that's it. We promise we'll make a card later that's in Magic for him, but this is that.
What color is he even?
White.
Why? He's not magic in any way.
Well, white is like anytime there's like a human man kind of character.
Yeah, because
it's like soldier,
he like gives humans +1/+1 and does some other stuff.
Yeah, because I play a lot of white decks.
He's a human
yeah,
tribal lord. Or I guess kindred lord.
What I
now.
don't get, I guess, is how or why the Walking Dead wouldn't the move wouldn't just be the zombies.
I still don't know. I genuinely...
You know what? You're right. I am barking up the wrong tree on this. This wasn't your decision.
Yeah, I don't think anybody knows why Walking Dead specifically, unless you probably look at maybe what contracts Hasbro has
That makes sense.
for
Yeah.
toy rights. And maybe they just had that and decided, let's do this.
Right. Walking Dead, I'm sure, was
'Cause we
huge
have
at the
it.
time, and they owned it. So
Not really. It was not even... Ikoria was like 2021?
that's too late. Yep. That's
Yeah. This wasn't like 2015 or 14. It was far later.
That is bad.
Yeah, it was like just after the ending of like COVID and things, people starting to meet again.
Yeah, of all the things I was expecting you to say, Walking Dead was
Nope.
furthest from my mind.
You could give me 100 guesses.
Yeah, and they promised, okay, this is just an opt-in thing. It'll be like some legacy cards, and they made some other Warhammer Commander decks. I'll admit those ones are actually kind of cool.
Okay.
And I even bought one of them.
Right.
Because as much as I complain, I still spend an inordinate amount of money on the children's card game.
Yeah.
That I dislike.
God bless.
The Warhammer, and they did Assassin's Creed as a commander set, Doctor Who as a commander set, and they set the precedent that like in Magic there's different formats. Their in standard is like their like premier one. This is what's in the front. This is what most people play. Legacy, Commander, that's just old wacky cards from old history. So they already broke the dam for Legacy and Commander to just have anything.
Right.
And then they did Lord of the Rings as a Magic set, which was hugely popular.
Yeah.
But it went directly into the format of Modern, which was one of the ones they said because they said just Legacy, which is the Eternal format. Then they put it in Modern, which is supposed to be post 7th edition, so that you don't have you have basically Legacy without the reserve list. The early game for people, they said they'll never reprint this list of cards with like Black Lotus, all these.
Right.
And now it's kind of a debacle because nobody can really play Legacy without those cards. I guess Vintage, but the duels are the big thing for Legacy, the original dual lands. Now, they Lord of the Rings put it into Modern, and it's okay, I guess. I mean, it still looks like the same thing. It's fantasy. Then they announced so many secret layers to the point where everyone was numb to them. Of like, yeah, sure, there's just...
Is this the one with SpongeBob?
Eventually they put SpongeBob in, and at that point, people were laughing about it, and everyone was like, yeah, okay, they already put Fortnite, literal Fortnite, like you can have the bus in your deck or whatever.
God bless, dude.
It's all in there, whatever. If you play Standard, you can just ignore it, and that's all I've been... Standard Pioneer, which don't have those yet, and then they decided... They announced it last year, they're like, Somerset will be Final Fantasy. And everyone's like, wait, why? You said you wouldn't. You said you wouldn't put it in Standard. And
and they're like...
all the things they've said, more or less, are a roadmap of what they will do.
Right.
And that's what's Wizards of the Coast's way is. They will break a promise they say about what they do, about not putting it in Standard. Now Final Fantasy is in Standard. After that is like a Magic space set, which I would play if Final Fantasy wasn't already in Standard.
Right.
And then after that is The Amazing Spider-Man.
In Standard?
Yes. And then after that is Avatar: The Last Airbender.
That's the only one so far that's really made sense. Final Fantasy, I guess, kind of, but...
aesthetically, sure, but it's...
not to be in Standard, but to even have this crossover.
I guess the Final Fantasy ones wouldn't be that bad for me because Final Fantasy's origin is like basically trying to be D&D for the Nintendo. So like, there's a lot of like fantasy elements within that IP, but I know it's only going to be stuff from like 7 or like 8 or like the modern like belts and zippers aesthetic, not like the swords and sorcery aesthetic.
Oh man, if there's an 8-bit deck that you could build.
Because like if it
that'd be
wasn't
hilarious.
Sure. You say it's going to be a secret layer, and you can spend $700 to change all your bad lands into 8-bit lands. I think they already have that. Actually,
I would love that to be the case, and I still won't buy it.
I would like to see alt arts of like a red mage, and then like Final Fantasy 1 red mage. If they're gonna do it, like I don't know.
Genuinely, I assumed that this was just an alt art situation.
Yeah.
Because that wouldn't matter at all.
Yeah.
You don't need to like segment like what it is. It's like if you want to use Jace, he's a Planeswalker, right?
Yeah.
If you want to use Jace, you can play him as Rick Sanchez.
That's hilarious.
Like, fuck it, why not?
That's a secret layer too, I'm pretty sure.
God damn it, dude!
Yeah.
I was trying to be silly about it.
Yeah, no, I think anything you can name as a meme, they've made it into one at some point. I'm pretty sure. I don't know, because originally the secret layer thing is this. Buy direct from Wizards of the Coast. It's print to demand, so everyone who orders one will get one. Then they went back on that and said, no, actually we want scalper money, so we're going to make it limited time offering.
Oh my...
And they're...
A profoundly evil method.
They said their wording is, we want to make sure we can deliver the product in a timely manner. If you're ordering the secret layers, I don't think most people really cared. They understood this is going to take a while. I just want the special cool skin.
Right.
We want scalper money. We
want that. And we want that money. We would prefer it to be before end of quarter. So
yeah,
no playtesting. give money.
Playtesting is essentially gone.
Yeah.
It's technically,
which is crazy to me.
So I was going to say this in the very beginning. We have a running joke in our group of in my Rock MMO.
Yep.
And then we describe one of our very bad or stupid ideas that we hold as like, no, that's how this game should work.
You're gonna die on this hill. It's a horrible.
Yeah, it's a horrible, inapplicable, bad idea that no one else particularly has feelings about, but you certainly do. And mine is that I don't think games should nerf anything ever.
In my Rock MMO, there are no balance patches.
There are exactly. If people figure out like a weird interaction where it's like, oh, if you use this fruit that gives you slow fall that you get at level 2, but you use it at the same time that you get like the super jump effect, you can effectively fly around. Well, guess what? Now that's part of the base game. That's how you fly in this game now.
It's a feature, not a bug.
Exactly. Everything is a feature, not a bug. I think that would be so cool, and people would hate it.
Yeah, probably.
In my Rock MMO.
The thing is, I just keep adding shit. So it's not a matter of like, oh, that's the only way to play the game. Nah, I'm stirring the pot. Okay, the lightning spell's really strong, so what are we going to add? I don't know, a guy can turn you into a fish. And we can chain fish. So you can cast chain lightning on your fish spell, and now you've turned everyone into fish, and now everyone's fishmancers. That's the only viable build for this season until someone thinks of some other dumbass thing to add to the pot. No balance patches.
It's so fucking dumb.
Anyways, I'm done complaining about Magic.
No, good. Good on you.
I think I ranted for far too long.
55 minutes. Impressive.
Yeah, there's still a lot I left out I can complain about.
I don't know anything about Magic the Gathering besides that, like, Tony wanted me to play many years ago when he had his Robots deck, and I'm not into card games like that. In my head, I assumed that it had a similar like progression as Yu-Gi-Oh did, where they keep introducing new concepts like, oh, you wanna. We don't fuse anymore. We do XYZ combinations for the Thunderfuck Dragon, whatever, the Nutbuster Dragon meme.
Yeah.
Like that one, where it's like, oh, we just outmode the entire set immediately with a new function. That's how I assumed all card games would go.
Yeah, no, Magic I think is good about not doing that as much. You can complain about the Modern Horizons things. I will. But they kind of keep the scope of the same, if not similar, mechanics, just ever increasingly a little bit more powerful. But I've played enough other card games to know it's really not that bad, and the game itself is still fun. And I'm probably not actually quitting Magic altogether because that's one of my few social outlets.
Right.
So
I like Commander. Commander's a beer and pretzels game.
I can complain about Commander for a while. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean,
I stopped respecting it a while.
I don't know what Commander is.
It's all bets are off, right? So you can use basically any card, to my understanding. There's probably
There's a ban list.
Yeah,
Power 9 is banned, I think, except for Time Twist.
In my Rock MMO, there would certainly be no ban list.
Yeah, there it is.
I didn't print this card so no one could use it. So you could just look at like, oh, wouldn't this be cool? But no, you're not allowed to use it.
That's the Vintage format.
Bullshit.
Vintage has no ban list, but they have a limited list. They're basically kind of like Yu-Gi-Oh rules, but
right, you can't stack your deck with.
You can
10
only
of
run
them.
one of these. All the Power 9 are on the one of list, and a bunch of other cards.
That's fine. Limiting them is fine because that's like part of the mechanic.
It's all the most expensive format by a long shot because every deck runs a Black Lotus.
Right, of course. I only know Black Lotus from the internet.
Yeah.
But
you say that one, people are, oh, yes. I know Magic.
Yeah.
The Gathering, I've heard it well.
Black Lotus?
But no, Commander, it's 100 cards, no repeats.
Okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm a Philistine.
You can repeat a card that says you can have any number of cards.
Yeah, but it'll say in the text.
And basic lands.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And then one of your cards has to be legendary, like a legendary creature, and then those are the colors of those creature are the colors that are allowed in your deck.
Oh.
So you pick a commander, and then you can summon them from the command zone, and then they can do their thing, and when they die, you can summon them again from their command zone plus 2 mana. And so they usually are going to have some sort of tribal effect that affects other creatures of that type, or some sort of mechanic that is integral to the deck. Like the one, I have blue-black ninjas, and my commander gives everything ninjutsu. What's up?
The way you're describing Commander is how I assumed Planeswalker cards just worked.
No. They're like normal cards you just put on the field that you can, creatures can attack. What I'll say is just nonsense to you, but it's like a normal spell you cast.
That's ridiculous. You can just be like, yeah, I call upon this version of Nicol Bolas, the infinitely minded dragon man of unstoppable plans.
Yeah, he was
and
one of the first ones.
He does 4. It's trample effect also, and then now we put him back away.
His first
he's
card
gone.
was
He's a spell.
+3. They have a loyalty thing. His first, and he was one of the earlier Planeswalkers they made, and he was 7 mana, ridiculous, game winning effects all around.
Right.
That it's destroyed, which is normally you don't, or just take something. And then the last one is you draw 7, deal 7 to someone because 7's his number.
Right, that's his magic number.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. Some of the artwork for Nicol Bolas is excellent. Some of the artwork is
He's
less
like
good.
a goblin.
I don't like that they keep changing it. I feel like
And it's every character.
The version that lives in my head is the very long boy dragon with giant horns.
Have you seen the,
in the armor.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Seen
that's
the-
the sick nasty one.
the original Nicol Bolas art is something to be cherished. Where He's
Really?
like an old man reading a book.
That's excellent.
Dragon.
He's
I'll
just
show-
like
I'll
like
show
like
Kevin.
like an evil wizard dragon, but like a drunk old wizard reading a book dragon.
Let me find.
He's
the-
pulling
the
it up.
Creature.
He's pulling it up. Oh man.
Where is it?
Oh man.
It's in-
I guess Magic the Gathering's probably like he said earlier. It's like a form of media
here's
best
the first
consumed by
Nicol
Wiki.
Bolas.
Oh my god, I love him. He looks so old.
That's back when you could just summon him as
Not-
a creature.
Not ancient. He doesn't look ancient. He looks old.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's just chilling, man.
It's,
just
if
wrinkly.
You want to follow along on Scryfall, you can look at Nicol Bolas and look at the Legends printing. That's the old man.
Thank you for
Well,
that. 'cause
certainly
I wasn't
that's
sure
not-
how to do it.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
And with that, we're going to end tonight's episode. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoy the nature of this content, go ahead and give us a like and subscribe on YouTube. You can go ahead and give me a follow on Blue Sky, and you can support us on Patreon. With that, have a good night.
Have a good night, everybody.
Bye.